bio here for Howard. As you all remember, Howard was our, what do I call it? District fundraising chair, fund development chair, Howard. Is that the best way to put it?
Right.
And this new Rotary year, Howard has taken on the responsibility, or been given the responsibility, of now being our district foundation chair, which puts him in charge of fundraising, community grant, global grant. All of the foundation for the district now falls under Howard's direction and guidance. So many of you, Howard, many of us, Howard, have heard you speak in one capacity, but now we get to have you speak in a new capacity. So, Howard, please go ahead and proceed.
Thanks, Bill, and appreciate the opportunity to talk to the E-Club. I think this is about my third time I've talked, and the other two, as Bill mentioned, as the fundraising side. This, I've got the foundation where I do also have the grant responsibilities, the big addition to what I have. But we also have things like scholarships. We do a district scholarship that we do items on it. We also do VTTs, which are vocational training teams, and other things that are done within the foundation. So today's topic is, again, trying to talk about the foundation and what good it does in the world. And all of this, and I'm not here to browbeat anybody or twist their arms to contribute to the foundation, but I'm trying to explain the foundation so that individuals will be happy to contribute and will help grow and hear the value it does and the good it does in the world. Oops. So the foundation is really in partnership with Rotary International. It's really, there are two different entities. The foundation is the charity arm of Rotary International. The one's got the trustees that run the foundation. The Rotary International has a board of directors, but the two are hand in hand and go together. It makes Rotary special. We're different than the other service clubs because of the fact that we have the foundation, and the work that we can do with our foundation is different than a lot of other service clubs. So it's really this partnership between Rotary International and the foundation that makes it so strong and great. The mission is to advance the world understanding of goodwill and peace through the improvement in health, supportive education, and alleviation of poverty. All good things to say, all the types of things that we as good Rotarians like to do, and what we really see in what we're doing. So it's a pretty high level mission, but we'll get into a little more detail about what the foundation does and the good it does in the world. Children, we do a lot because of children. Some of the children, we actually never even know their names or know who they are, but there are thousands of children that have been saved and helped because of Rotary. One particular area, of course, is our polio campaign and what we do to that. But it's the good in the world that we do for children in many different categories, whether it's education, whether it's maternal health, whether it's business development, but in many cases, it's to help the children of the world and become stronger. I can talk forever about how good the foundation is, but using outside sources, the Charity Navigator as one. Charity Navigator is an excellent outside source, a source you can go to their website and look at nonprofits to see what they're rated. But the Rotary Foundation has gotten 4 stars, their highest rating possible, now for 12 years in a row. We're unique in that category of having that much rating for that many years. So it really talks about, they talk about the fact of how we monitor it, the low overhead we have, the stewardship we do, and the way that we're careful about how we spend our money. The other big compliment is, as we all know about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, thinks highly enough of how we spend our money and how we utilize the funds in the polio campaign that they match 2 to 1 to every dollar that we contribute to that plan. So again, the largest philanthropic group is very happy and supportive of our foundation. And the fact that it's overseen by Rotarians. These are people who follow the 4-way test and how we spend money. So our performance is deemed by outside people to be very, very strong and a good place to send your money to. The foundation itself has 3 key components. It's got the Polio Plus Fund, which is really runs the End Polio Now campaign. It's got the annual fund, which is what's helping do projects each year. And we'll talk in more detail about how when you contribute to the annual fund, it comes back to the district to use for grants, both district grants and global grants. And the third one is the endowment fund. And that's where people put money typically from their legacy, whether it's from a will, a grant, or you can give it directly. And the principal is never spent. It's only the earnings on the endowment that is being spent and used for programs. So it's our way to build up for the future. It's a way for you to give money after you've gone. Just a couple weeks ago was World Polio Day on October 24th, where we every year think about where we are in the polio campaign, recognize it. It's picked on the 24th because it's the birthday of the gentleman who got the vaccine. So that's why the October 24th was picked. If you haven't seen this, this is an Egyptian stone carving going back to 3300 BC. And so polio has been around a long time. You can see by the carving that the gentleman there has a deformed leg that was most likely caused by something like polio. And so it's a way that we vision the fact that polio existed many, many years ago. So it's been around. When Rotary got into this, there were 36,000 cases a year of polio being, for people being impacted by a year. So we've done that, and our goal is to eradicate it. It'd be the second disease ever to be eradicated when we complete the task. The impact of polio, of course, the iron lung was there. There are still people today that are living in the iron lung. There's a woman in Australia who's been in the iron lung for over 60 years now and living it. So it was what had to happen and how we did it, and the effect it was on many, many people before the vaccine was created and before there was a major program to inoculate people. The vaccine did come along and work, and that was one of the big things. And actually, you can see in the bottom left picture that even in the early days, the Rotary clubs were supporting it with contributions towards iron lungs. But the top right one, if you can see the detail there, those are people lining up to get the vaccine. So the vaccine worked, and basically Rotary's goal is to vaccine the world and have it so that polio doesn't exist anymore. This is the current status of polio. There are three types of viruses, or there were three types of viruses, and virus number 2 and type 3 have both been eradicated. So we're now down to only one polio virus. The polio type 1 virus is the only one that is left in the world. It was just this year that polio 3 was determined to it. One of the things that it does is simplify the vaccine. So you can only do it, and they're looking at changing the vaccine. And it also, the change of the vaccine will eliminate some of the vaccine-derived polio. 1 in 1,000 or even less than that who get the vaccine have possibly get the impact of getting polio. So with the change and getting rid of two of the types of polio, we think we'll be able to reduce this. The bottom's the statistics actually as of today. They release the statistics every Thursday. And so we actually just hit the 100 mark this year, which they were hoping to do it. And it is an increase from where we were last year, particularly in Pakistan. The geographic area is getting smaller and smaller, but it's impacting fewer and fewer places of what's happening. So Nigeria has now gone more than 3 years without it. They're in the process of deeming Nigeria to be polio-free. So you have to go for 3 years without an incidence of polio to be done. And once they do that, all of the continent of Africa will be deemed to be polio-free. So this is all the work that we as Rotarians do, and it requires us to keep it going, be diligent, and keep going. So what we've done in our district here is we've committed to a new pin here, our Polio Plus Society, and we're asking Rotarians to commit to contributing $100 a year until the World Health Organization certifies that polio has been eradicated. It's probably at least 3 more years, could be 5 years. We don't know about it. But again, it shows the commitment of Rotary to doing that. So I've got a form that you can pull off, download, and we'll get you pins. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. So that's one of the new things we've done right now. And we have nearly 200 Rotarians in the district that have already pledged to continue to give $100 a year until polio is eradicated. The second area is the annual fund. And so we'll talk about that. And one of the things that it's pretty well known is there are 6 causes that we work for in the polio fund. Actually, this past year, they slightly changed the wording of these 6 areas, and this is the new areas of what it does. The water and sanitation, we've added the word hygiene to it. Actually, the peace builders and conflict prevention has been changed slightly in wording. They're all still the same. It's hard to find a cause that doesn't really fit into one of these 6 areas. So it's a pretty broad range of areas that the Rotary Foundation is working on. But all of these are goals that we have in Rotary to try and help it. And when people do grants, they line up with one of these causes. Money given to the annual fund after 3 years comes back to the district. Half of it comes to us in the form of district designated funds. The other half of it goes to the World Fund. The money that comes to our district, we decide how to use it. We decide what to go with it. And we fund our district grants, and we also fund the global grants. The other half of it goes to the people in the trustees there who use it to match the global funds and the global grant. So we're different than many other charities where you give money to the Red Cross, to other groups. People in the headquarters decide how the money is spent. In our case, it's Rotarians like ourselves, by choosing grants that we do, we decide how the money is being spent. So it's not we get to decide and choose the use of that money and however we want to contribute to. Right now, this year, district grants, our district gave out $197,000 worth of district grants. Here's just a sample of the first 13 of the 59 that we gave out. So only 59 clubs. We have 92 clubs there right now, but this is examples of some of the district grants that are being done. A district grant is typically a reimbursement grant. The club spends $7,000 and we reimburse them for $3,500 of it. Bill, I noticed actually with my screen here, the chat window doesn't show up. So
you sure it doesn't show up? Because mine does.
Okay, no, I think my screen, because I'm sharing my screen.
Oh, because you're sharing. That's probably true. Yeah.
So you'll need to chat on me if I. So
okay.
Here's some examples of the district grants that are being worked by various clubs in our district. Global grants are much larger. They range typically from about $35,000 up to $200,000, and they're carried out by 2 clubs. And that's one of the things that has the stewardship of it. A host club in the country it's being done, and an international club. We as a district will give up to $15,000 matching, and then the Rotary Foundation will match 50% of that and 100% of the DDF that's done. So a $10,000 project by a club or more than one club can actually leverage itself up to $35,000, which is obviously a very sizable grant in what it does and the size it does though. So a couple examples of global grants right now. One is the top one's being done by a Canadian club up in Strathcona, Joy of Sound, Basic Education and Literacy, and it's helping young children with hearing impairments to overcome their disabilities. The grant itself is $65,000. The club put up $12,500, and it got matched by our DDF. It also got matched by the other district in India, and then also got the World Fund of $29,000. So you can see how much leverage there is in your cash by doing a global fund. The club only came up with the 12.5 and was able to do as much as $65,000. The second example is a Peace Builder one being done by 2 clubs in our district, Cowich and the Polsbo North Kitsap Club, in a project in Colombia where they're working on helping reduce gang violence. Again, it's about the same size. They put up $12,000 and they got $68,000 for a total budget with the leveraging. Just a great thing, something that, every club can try and do. There is paperwork involved and there's reporting involved, but it's, it's your decision how to spend the money for these types of causes. The foundation itself gives out, about $126 million is given to the annual fund. It gives out over 1,400 of these global grants and invests about $111 million in humanitarian goals. The secret here is to get all Rotarians to contribute at least $25. And we hope that the club will average $100 contribution. In doing so, your club becomes an every Rotarian every year. And we're only asking for $25 to get everybody to do that. And not a lot, only a couple cups of coffee or whatever to try and do that. And, move that forward. One of the ways we recognize contributions is with a Paul Harris Fellow. And many people who've been in Rotary for a while understand that. If you've contributed $1,000 or given points which are earned from somebody else giving money, then you name a Paul Harris Fellow, and that climbs to Paul Harris +1, +2, all the way up to a Paul Harris +8. And then you become a major donor when you've contributed $10,000 or more in cash. So again, it's a way to recognize people who've given money to support the annual fund or the polio campaign. We have the Paul Harris Society, and that's about 23,000 people worldwide who commit to giving $1,000 every year to the foundation. And by doing so, you're considered a Paul Harris Society person. And so you've obviously 10 years of that, you become a major donor by giving $1,000 a year. Clubs themselves can get recognition. The left two ones are if everybody contributes $25 and you get a $100 average, you can get the every Rotarian every year one. 100% Paul Harris Society, which is quite difficult, and no club that I know has been able to get that. But the 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club is very achievable, and there are clubs that regularly get that, where everybody in the club has given at least $1,000 to get the Paul Harris Fellow. One of the new things we've done this way is we recognize what we now call our foundation champions. And those are people who are a major donor. They've given $10,000. They're a member of the Paul Harris Society, where they're promising to give $1,000 every year. And they're also a member of the Bequest Society, where they left $10,000 or more in their will of their estate to the endowment fund. You have one individual in your club who has met these requirements, and probably to nobody's surprise, that's Bill. And so at the proper time, Bill, I will be presenting you the Foundation Champion pin. So I congratulate you and thank you. I do it here if there was a way for me to ship the pin over the network.
Virtual, yeah.
Virtual.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things we encourage, and particularly in your guys' case, it seems like Rotary Direct would be the best way to do it. It's an efficient way. You can sign up online. There's a form you can fill out to fill it, but you can make your contributions monthly, quarterly, annually. Each contribution has to be a minimum of $10, but you could do $10 a month, you could do $10 a quarter, or you could actually only do $10 a year, but we're looking for $25. So to encourage people to do Rotary Direct, we have a program right now for anybody new to Rotary Direct this year. We'll get them to transfer them 100 Paul Harris points, which will help them get their next Paul Harris recognition. And so all you gotta do is email me your name and your Rotary number, and I can get that 100 points transferred to you, and that sort of stuff. So we think it's the best way to do it. You guys in your club, a regular club, we encourage it, because otherwise it's just work on the treasurer where they have to collect the money and they have to forward it on. This way you're forwarding directly. You can use a credit card or a bank account. If you use a credit card, you can actually get whatever credit card rewards you're getting on the credit card too. So I highly encourage that. It's automatic, done through Rotary Direct. You can also send a check through your club, or you can mail the gift directly to the foundation. So we want people to have the foundation as your charity of choice. We think it's the good in the world it does. It's really, really what strengthens the partner with Rotary International. And at a minimum, all we're asking for is $25, and hoping that everyone in every club does that to contribute the $25. Just examples of where your impact is: a $200 contribution helps in medical equipment for a newborn child. $1,000 will help a conflict resolution, something like the thing to prevent gang violence or other things. $50 does a water filter. 60 cents does a polio vaccine. So all those, every gift you give, no matter if it's a big one or a little one, all have their role in what Rotary's doing and the way that we're doing good in the world. This is some of the statistics of the E-Club. Since you were chartered in January of 18, you've given just over 10,800 to the foundation in total. Last year, you only had 18.2% of the people in your club gave the $25. So I highly encourage you to get that number up. We've set a goal that we want clubs to get at least 66%. I mean, obviously, I'd love to get it 100%. Your per capita giving was 98, and we're looking for a goal of $200 for clubs. Right now, as of about a week ago, you had 11 Paul Harris. You've got 3 people in the Paul Harris Society, which I appreciate. 1 major donor, 4 benefactors, the 3 bequests, and only 2 using Rotary Direct. So that's your current statistics of where you are and what you're doing. All those are ones that each of you individually can help at and improve. And it's all a very simple way to do it, and it does good in the world. It's really your secret of contributing to this good in the world, and to the extent that you guys can actually directly benefit it by you guys applying for either a district grant or a leveraged global grant, would both be ways where you get to decide how this money you're giving to the foundation is used. On behalf of the foundation, our district, and myself, I thank you for the presentation, and we can see if there's any questions or stuff I can explain more. We do have one here. We do have
there should be a couple, 3 up there, Howard.
Yeah. So Bill, yourself, you said you put up 7,000 for community grant. Must be that much. Actually, no, you can put up any amount up to 7,000. So if you only wanted to put up 2,000, the district would then reimburse half of it for 1,000. So the maximum amount is 7,000, but you could do obviously amounts less than that too. It is a scarce resource though, so it does require clubs to be on time when we open up the window for applying for grants. As you can see, we ran out with just under 60 clubs, and there are 92 clubs that could be asking for it. And Bob Zielinski is still the one that manages the community grants in that area. And we'll open up so we've had the 2 training sessions, and then we'll open up soon, sometime in early December, we'll open up the online training, so you could become qualified. But to do a grant, a club has to have a qualified individual who's taken training. Every year you got to get training, and the club has to sign the memorandum of understanding, which is really the fact that you understand the rules of the grant system and agree to those. Where's the link to sign up? If you just go to rotary.org, donate, you'll find the button. They make it pretty easy. It's on the opening page of rotary.org. I guess I can't see the other question.
Okay, what I'm going to do, Howard, I'm going to break with protocol because we don't have that many members tonight. So what I'm going to do is unmute everyone, okay? But Jim can still type his questions in because he needs to. Anyone, let me just go down the screen here because Jim's probably typing. Let's go to Sasha. Any questions on foundation or Howard? Yes, Sasha, you.
Oh, okay. So I was just taking some notes here in the background. Oh, I was wondering, is it possible for me to see the previous slide? We were talking about the Paul Harris Foundation numbers, the Paul Harris Society numbers.
Okay, just
right under the Bequest Society. What was that last number?
The Bequest Society, there's 3 members there, and those are people who have contributed or pledged to contribute 10,000 out of their will, and the bottom one are the people using Rotary Direct.
Oh, Rotary Direct.
And that's where it comes directly out of your bank account or your credit card.
Yeah, and that was 2?
There's 2 individuals in your club that are doing that today.
Oh, okay. I see. And you propose that it's best if we were to all focus on Rotary Direct. I mean, aside from the other one, but Rotary Direct would be easiest for the E-Club?
Yes, but I think by far, yeah.
And then Rotary Direct, does that will go directly into our club, or will it go into the district?
Well, when you do Rotary Direct, it knows who you are.
Okay.
So it goes by you're recognized as being the contributor. I mean, you have to sign up, put your name in, and it knows where you are. And so it goes in your name, and it also gets recognized for the club donation. And then it goes to the Rotary Foundation, sits there for 3 years, and then comes back through our grants. And
So
again,
Howard,
the reason it sits there is they use the earnings on that for those 3 years to cover the overhead. So
Yeah.
all the money that you donate actually does good. None of it's used to pay for overhead, or it's actually sizably all the overhead. There's a small piece that it doesn't cover.
I like that. Okay, thanks.
Howard, question, or not a
Yes.
question, a comment. Sasha and everyone else, if you haven't, before you can do Rotary Direct, I believe as a Rotarian, you need to register on the Rotary.org website as a member in the first place.
You do.
It's amazing how few Rotarians have even done that yet. Because once you do that, you can then access deep into Rotary far more information. I know Sasha probably has already, but that's just to know everyone. Go to Rotary.org. You'll say sign in or whatever. If you haven't done that, you just register, name and password. Once you've done that, you'll be able to go right into Rotary Direct and to other places too. So I'm sorry, Howard, but I wanted to bring that up. That's the first step.
Yes.
So Sasha, any more questions?
No, those answered all my
All right,
questions. Thank
let's see. I'll go over here. Fred?
Yeah, I pretty self-explanatory. It's good to see where all the money's going and how it all works out. Thank you for the presentation.
You're most welcome.
Chuck?
Well, what I heard tonight in summary was that we're encouraged to give at least $100 a year for the polio campaign. And then on top of that, we're encouraged to give $25. And how is that additional $25+ designated? Like when I donated earlier this year, I designated I wanted it for water projects. Was there any other things that you wanted to have us donate for? But I think one of the things that kind of stopped me, seems like $25 a year is pretty small. I mean, why such a low number?
Well, that's actually the minimum. We want more than that, but we actually still have Rotarians who don't give even 25. So I'm starting with what we're looking for the minimum. When you go to the website, it gives you multiple choices of causes to pick out where your money goes. And one of the causes is the shared system. In your case, if you pick the water project, that doesn't come back to our district. That goes directly to water projects. Because if it comes back to our district, you can't be guaranteed that it's going to go to a water project. So I support that, and water projects are good projects, so I'm not saying that's not a good area. It's just not what comes back through 3 years later to our district.
Okay, so this additional contribution that you want, this minimum of $25, how is that designated? How are you supposed, when you go in to donate, what is the box you check?
The shared system.
Okay.
And then it's shared back with the district, or you can, if you care for one or the other. If you care for water projects, you care for maternal health, you care for education, you can pick those too. I'm not saying not to pick those. If that's your cause and you want to support it, that's a great thing to do. If you want it to come back to our district and we can use it for our grants, then you have to put it to the shared system. But both are good causes. Either one, whatever the individual wants to do.
So maybe what you should do is just break it up a little bit and make sure that you.
That's a good choice too. Yeah, you can do it in multiple entries. But in your case,
but Howard, this is what kind of concerns me. I remember when I first joined the Rotary, it was in Vancouver, Washington, and it was reiterated when I went to the Portland Club, and then again when I went to our club in Gig Harbor, was that the people in Rotary are expected to be not necessarily community leaders, but we're the kind of people who should have more than $25 to give to something this important.
Well, and that's why we try and encourage people to become Paul Harris Society. Paul Harris Society people are people who give $1,000 every year to it. So we want as many people as possible to be that, and that's the love we give to it. But we still, in your case, your club, you had only 18%. I think we counted only 4 of your 22 people even gave $25. You got an average of over $100, so obviously those 4 people gave much more than 25. So, I'm trying to get those other you know, now you're not quite at 22 right now, the other, you know, 10 or 12 of you to give at least $25, because that brings our average up. You know, a 25 is better than a 0.
I know, but the question is, you know, what kind of people are we recruiting for Rotary?
Well, it's really the issue we have in many cases. It's not their charity they're not charity of choice. But we're hoping to make it at least one of the charities of choice. Doesn't that be the biggest one? But people give to their church, they give to Boy Scouts, they give to the Red Cross, they give to, you know, many, you know. So we've got people who are very philanthropic in their area. You know, we want them, because of the relationship between Rotary and the foundation, we want you to, you know, choose Rotary as one of your giving choices. And that's why I give these presentations. I talk about the good that Rotary does. I talk about how good we are. I mean, you know, you want to give money to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is not a 4-star charity navigator. They're only a 3-star. You want to do Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish is only 3 stars and not 4 stars. So, you know, Rotary is by far, you know, the highest possible rating of a charity.
I just want to comment for Chuck's benefit. Our status went down a little bit, Chuck, because we lost some members this last year who were big contributors. But the problem is endemic. I mean, I know in our area down here in Olympia area, some people with a lot of means, a lot of resources, and they don't contribute. In fact, Howard, what was the number you said? 2,000 are not contributing.
Yeah, of our 4,600 and something Rotarian, we have about 2,000 that haven't even given $25. So
Right.
We're about 52%, and we're trying to get to 66%.
Right. So it's not just us, Chuck. I mean, it's an endemic thing, and I don't know. There's been all kinds of talk, Howard. I don't know what your philosophy is going to be as you take over, but I know I've met some district governors from down in California area, Southern California. What they do is, if a club wants to do a grant, the first thing they look at is their level of contribution, community or global or whatever. And if that contribution their contribution as a club doesn't measure up, they don't get a grant. I mean, the idea is, you want to do a grant, you want to apply, you want to use funds, then how about contributing and putting some funds into the share, as Howard mentioned. So anyway, it's not just us, Chuck. It's Rotary wide.
But that's why, by educating people and making sure people understand the relationship, that's, you know, I'm hoping that we'll get more people to give and contribute. But 25 is a token amount. So I do agree with that, Chuck. And we're hoping to get much more and hopefully get Paul Harris Society. And that's why we've got this group of new individuals, which are really our foundation champions. They obviously walk the talk.
Chuck, any more? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I guess I'm chasing my tail here, but remember in Portland, every year, one of the biggest things we did was we had an annual fundraising program, and everybody was encouraged to give a significant amount, and we were told, you know, in many cases the amount was more than people wanted to give, but it put people on the spot to contribute. And one of the things that really I shouldn't be saying this, but you know, the Gig Harbor Club, it seemed like, you know, what they were really focusing on was, you know, doing fundraisers. So what, you know, what the impact of that was that we're getting other people to give us money that then we're going to donate to a good cause. And it seems to me Rotarians should be donating their own money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rotarians, yeah, we ask the money that we raise, we give to other charities. We ask individuals to give to our Rotary Foundation. So you know, the Gig Harbor Club has 100% participation. Everybody in the Gig Harbor Club gives at least $25. Some only $25, you know, several more than that. But they do that, and then we do the fundraisers. It's interesting, the district I was in the East Coast, when they did a club fundraiser, 10% of the fundraiser that they did went to the Rotary Foundation. Kind of like, because you were using their Rotary brand, you were using the Rotary name. So if you did a fundraiser like a golf event and raised $60,000, you know, 6,000 of it would go to the Rotary Foundation. We don't have that in our district. We don't have that policy here. But clubs regularly raise money to give to, you know, other types of charities.
Well, you got my point. We're donating. You know, we're acting real charitable by spending other people's money.
Yes, yes.
Anything more, Chuck? Then I'll go to Jen if not.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so thanks, Chuck. No, I appreciate the input. You always have fantastic
Yes, I do
input.
too.
Yeah. Jen? Oh, wait a minute. I need to unmute you. Sorry. Now, Jen?
Okay. Thanks, guys. I wanted to first say, Bill, congratulations. That's wonderful news. And thank you, Howard, for doing this presentation. It's great. It's not lost upon me that the two countries we're having the most difficulty with in the world are the most poor and war-torn areas. It's interesting. Thank you for sharing the status on polio plus in the Great Win in Africa. That is just amazing. I also believe that with all of us Rotarians, we tend to be people who want to do right in the world, and sometimes it's just about knowing how to be in every Rotary in every club, and what link do we need to go to, and how do we step by step contribute to make that happen. And I'm hoping that maybe following this program, we can all get an email from Bill or from Sasha, or from somebody who's taking notes that can tell us where to log in to make this donation happen so that we can become that club that you're asking us to become.
Thanks, Jen. That's a great idea. I'm going to ask, Sasha does a great job with notes. She'll send me those notes and I'll go down that list and I'll make sure that I send out a concise email with some points in it. And obviously one of the points will be how to go, why, and how to go to Rotary.org and Rotary Direct. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks,
And
Jen.
then, and then a follow-up to that is there a way throughout the year to kind of look and see what our status as a club is? Or is that, I mean, I know that you have access to that information, Howard. Is there a way that as a club we can have access to that from time to time if we want to go in and look and see what we're doing?
You can look to see what money you've contributed and how it's built up.
Right.
But the statistics, Bill has access to seeing those, the club president. And
that was my question.
Yeah, if you have a foundation chair, they could also do it.
Okay, so I'm that,
Bill
we lost our foundation chair, so I'm that person too now. Okay. So Sasha, if you could add that to the notes, that I will do that as well, that I can do what you want, Jen. What do you think, a quarterly report or a monthly report on where, because I can get that, everything from membership to fundraising to whatever.
I think even just twice a year, I think is fine, but just to let us know, like, you know, if we're on a target of a goal that Rotary's set, and you know, just kind of let us know. Let's do that
quarterly, because I think if you wait for 6 months, it's kind of hard to react and get everybody back on track. So, Sasha, let's put that in our notes that Bill will send out a quarterly update on where we stand in terms of our foundation contributions. Okay, and I have to be very careful what I put out. I don't want to put out any personal information, so it's only going to be where the club stands, because I do have access, as well as Howard, to what everybody in the club is contributing or not. So I have to make sure it's just a total club graphic. Okay.
Okay, so the E-Club is going to commit to a quarterly report on where we stand in our goal.
And I will send that out to the membership quarterly.
And again, if you guys sign up for Rotary Direct, send me your name and stuff, and we'll get you the 100 points too.
That's right. Except I don't think they're new. All of us have been in Rotary for over a year now.
No, Rotary Direct. If they're new to Rotary Direct.
Oh, Rotary Direct. Okay. There's an extra 100 points for everyone.
Yeah. So you got 2 people who are currently on Rotary Direct.
Right.
And then whoever else new goes on to Rotary Direct.
Okay. Jim, I don't want to forget you or leave you out. If you have any questions, you can type that in that chat box for Howard, because I know we practiced that earlier, if you want to go ahead and do that. Or you can just indicate no or whatever. But I know you, oh, there you go. I see something's going on. So go ahead and type in a question for Howard. In the meantime, Jen, do you have any other questions at this time? Okay. Jim's typing now, and it won't show Jim until after you hit enter at the end of your message.
Well, while he's doing that, so Howard, you're going to send out an email so how we can contact Howard and sign up for Rotary Direct and all that. Is that correct?
I think I'm doing that, Chuck. I think that's what Sasha's taking the notes for. I'll go through the list of the club members' wants, and then I'll send an email out following this, won't be tonight, but saying as a result of the meeting and Sasha's notes, here are some things that the club members in attendance wanted. Oop. No, don't want to do that.
Happened.
I'm going to talk you out of it. Jim, did you find that chat box?
Yeah.
Okay, did you type something in there? It didn't come up. So we can always send an email to Howard later if you want, rather than trying to learn the technology tonight, if that's okay with you. Is that all right? All right. So send me an email, Jim, on any questions you had for Howard, or Howard, what is it? hsfagals at
Gmail.
Gmail. So it's hsfagals@gmail.com. And
Right.
you could ask your question directly to Howard rather than having to go through me. Okay. Howard, I really appreciate it very much. This is what, 3 times now you've spoken to us, and now you have now you're on the overall perspective on that. So is there any money? Okay, let me ask another question. Is there another opportunity in this Rotary year for foundation training, for grant management training?
Not in person. We'll have online training will open up shortly.
So the DLTA, there'll be nothing at the DLTA this coming
Oh, I'm
year?
sorry. Yes, there will be a DTS.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of attending that, because what I'd like to do is be able to have our club eligible for participating in a grant next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the club for projects. Also, Jean-Louis, who I talked about earlier, will be presenting next month and sending us some opportunities. And I want to be able to have our club, through me, I guess. I know Jenna attended last year, but she did the YPO things. But I want to be able to have our club eligible to maybe be even a co-sponsor of a grant, should we as a club find something we want to do. And I think with Jean-Louis' presentation next month, we're going to be exposed to a lot of opportunities. I'm really looking forward to his presentation. It's a great follow-up to yours, Howard.
Yeah, so we're on district grants, we're very, very flexible. It just has to have a humanitarian nature to it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one of the examples, if somebody wants to buy uniforms for a baseball team, that would not be acceptable.
Right.
But if you want to buy uniforms for the disadvantaged children, that would be acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So we try and just make sure that the money has a humanitarian nature to it.
So last year we did on our own as a club, we funded, correct me if I'm wrong, but 6 schools with the Rachel Pie, couple of maybe 2 or 3 in Kenya, another 2 or 3 in Guatemala. And we took some money out of the pot, and then many of us contributed directly to that. We could have applied for a community grant to do that last year.
Correct.
If we were qualified.
Would have doubled the money, yes.
Would have doubled our contribution. Okay. All right. So there's another reason for us as club members to contribute to the Rotary Foundation, especially the share part, because then when we're applying for money, we actually will get, not really, but theoretically get some of our money back to do a grant that then in turn would be matched by the district. It'd be after the fact, but if we put 2,500 up, we would have gotten 1,250 back. Is that right, Howard?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we call it a reimbursement grant versus a matching grant.
Right.
Because you have to spend the money first, and small clubs occasionally have trouble coming up with the money to get reimbursed, but
Right.
It usually can make something happen.
Okay, so maybe that's something for us to look at, but once we decide what it is we want to do. So, okay, let's do this, everyone, so we don't take too much time. I will send an email out to everyone asking them when they would like to hold a club assembly, and I'll throw out several dates, and I'll just see who's available for that. And then, and I'll list out the things that we need to discuss as a club. And obviously this foundation will be part of it. Foundation, projects, membership, etc. Howard, do you have any last comments before we end the meeting tonight?
No, but I assume I'll see you at Tumwater next on the 13th. Right?
Yes, sir. I'm picking up apples. Quid pro quo. We're buying apples from the local Lions Club, so they in turn will buy poinsettias from my wife's club. So, so yeah. I was just out in Shelton Rotary today, helping my wife sell poinsettias out there as well. So it goes for a good cause. They do an awful lot of good work in the community for youth. So that's where it
Great.
goes. Yeah.
So I will take advantage of your present there and present you with your pin.
Oh, okay. Anyone else? Any last questions for Howard before we say good night? And
No,
Sasha, Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, I take Chuck's read that I think, you know, what we're asking for is not enough. And I think as a club, and, you know, we should strive to at least have 100%, and not everybody can put more than $25 in there. And I understand that, but there are others in our club that can put more than that. And maybe they're willing. And so I put out the challenge to everybody. I think we should all put the $25 minimum in and make that just something that we do as a club. I think that's really important.
Sasha, can you add that to the notes so that we are sure to, not just for my email, I probably won't put it in there, but on the discussion at our club assembly. Fred, I think that's a great point.
Make sure it's
thank you.
stated as a minimum, because
Yeah.
I think what Howard said is really key. You know, minimum is important, but then we start to work after that.
Yes. Very good.
Well, and to be clear that we have to, that's $25, at least $25 to that particular account, the shared account.
Right.
And that's on top of any other money you want to give to Rotary, like for water projects that I like.
Yeah, that's the general fund, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The share fund, yeah, that would be the general fund, right, Howard? That's what comes back to us. Right. And I really appreciate Chuck and Fred's comments, because I've been in Rotary for a long time, over 30 years. And I've always felt that, you know, we're Rotary International. We've always bragged about the good we do in the world. And yet I see so many people who don't contribute, they wear the pin, but they don't follow through as what I would call a 100% Rotarian and contribute to the foundation. I mean, community, we need to, yes, but we should put something into that international pot as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anyone?
Thanks for doing the hard.
Sasha?
I actually just have a comment or a question directly for you, Bill, but should I just talk to you about that on Messenger?
Well, go ahead. We're all friends here.
Okay, two meetings ago, actually, you said that you had a question for me and that you would send me an email about it. I'm having trouble using that chat thing you set up for us. What was it called? Oh, Slack. Yeah, Slack.
Slack? Slack. Yeah, I'm still having trouble with that. And we need to come up with a way. Yeah, thanks, Fred. We need to come up for a way that the club members can use that. And I need to figure, Sasha, if you could maybe send something out to the whole club that says, here's what you've set up. Here's how to use it. Here's why we should use it.
Okay.
Because it's a private, for those of you who haven't done it, it's kind of like a private chat group for the club members only. And basically we can go in there and we talk on it, but only our e-club members can see it, right, Sasha? And then we communicate within that. It's just a way of having a private conversation. It doesn't go out in broadcast emails. So
I feel like also, I feel like also we can set up different channels, like different chat groups for, say, Rotary Direct, where people could solely be asking questions about how to set it up, or we could be updating goals and stuff. And then we could have like other chat rooms for local projects or initiatives, questions, and so on. But I'll make a tutorial if that would be easiest for you.
Thank you. I need that. But I like your idea of we could do updates for our goals in there, and
I was just actually wondering, does anybody get emails when I post in the general chat? Do any of you get an email from Slack? I know Jen has commented about it before, so I know that somebody sees it.
I think I've gotten one. I think I've gotten.
Okay.
Good.
Cool.
But let's
And
try it
see that in
again.
your email.
Let's try it again, Sasha, and see how many people actually get it. Maybe what you could do in that is ask people, if you get this, please respond. So we know
Okay.
that, we know that the members are actually getting that.
Great.
Because it's a
Okay.
great tool. I just need to learn it.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, Sasha.
No problem.
Thanks for reminding me.